Hello there, I'm back with another video. First of all, thank you for being here. I'm April, by the way, and I share videos about my creative process. If you've seen my previous videos, this month's theme is about journaling. However, for the past few videos, I focused more about memory keeping. But for this week, I want to do art journaling. Now, it's been a while since I did an art journal. And to be honest, I really kind of feel rusty about this. For this entire video, you're gonna see that I had a hard time figuring out how to do this at least. Normally, before I do art journal, I look for inspirations for mark making. So I tend to look at different backgrounds, watercolor techniques maybe, just for inspiration. But this time, I didn't have a plan. I just opened my journal because I've been really itching to do an art journal, and I just want to use whatever scrap materials that I can find on my desk. Plus, I always wanted to use this quote, which you'll see later, that I had from my workshop module before, and then I just cut it out. Plus, I think this colored background is really making it hard for me to work around with. The funny thing is, I'm not even sure why I had these colors because these are not my usual color palette. But since it's already here, and I'll just have to work around with it. So first, I tried adding or covering it with gesso, hoping that it will lighten the colors. It did lighten the color, but I can still see it enough to distract me. And so, since I wasn't still happy about it, I decided to add paper just to cover it. And so I saw this handmade paper that was gifted to me by my friend Cham. Hi Cham, I know you're listening, and here's a video for you. So this is a handmade paper. The texture is very smooth and very thin. It kind of felt like a tissue paper. So I'm trying to do a technique here by crumpling it just so to create a texture on my spread. But I'm not really sure if I'm liking it. But I do like the leaves or the dried or pressed leaves on the paper. So it's adding more marks on my journal. As you can already see, I'm already having a hard time figuring out how to work on this already. While I was doing this, I was really convinced that if I will not do this consistently or hone my skills consistently, then eventually I will really get rusty. Come to think of it, art journaling for me is just a play or an expression of my feelings. This is where I pour out my emotions, or if not, this is where I want to try different techniques without thinking or considering other people's interest or demands. Unlike while creating a product or if I'm doing custom design. So this one is just merely for fun and for just expressing my feelings and thoughts. Anyway, so I got this new stencil, and apparently I didn't realize I already bought one. So if you're looking for something like this, I have an extra one that I want to dispose. So I was hoping by adding this stencil, the page will actually look better. But the more I wasn't happy about it, I mean, look at that. The more layers that I add on my page, the more it really looks chaotic and ugly for me. But here's something I learned using stencils that I just realized now, even though I've been using stencils before. So stencil is best used with a sponge rather than the paintbrush, because paint will actually smudge with when you use paintbrush. So basically, stencil is best paired with a sponge or a palette knife, but not paintbrush at all. So that is actually a good learning curve for me while doing this. So this is the quote that I was telling you about. This one is actually a brush lettering that I did for my workshop module. So this is a scrap paper, and I've thought of using it for art journaling one day. And apparently it took me this time only to use it. So I'm really trying to consume whatever scrap papers that I have with me, which is intended for art journaling. And this is one of those pile or stash that I have. And in a way, it makes me happy because finally I'm able to use whatever stash that I have. And so, since I wasn't really happy with the stencil mark, I tried covering it up with the handmade paper, hoping that it will lighten the color. But guess what? I'm still too distracted with it. Now, I think one reason that this is a bit hard for me to figure out is because I don't normally have my usual art journaling materials with me. So instead of using a Mod Podge or my go-to decoupage, I'm just using a glue. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, except mine is a bit old already and it's quite thick. And if I add water to it, it becomes too watery. So I couldn't really find the right mixture that is enough to use on my journal. Now, so I decided to cover up the stencil with a pink rose acrylic paint, thinking this will actually do the trick. However, I'm still not sure if I'm liking this. I think because the flower is too big that I get too distracted, that instead of focusing on the coat, your eyes will get distracted with the big flower. So after the pink rose paint, I've thought of adding the pink red shade which I used earlier for the stencil, thinking that it will add a little oomph with the flower, or it will make it a bit brighter, something like that. However, the more it looks ugly for me, the more it looks chaotic, and this time I just want to cover it up. So I looked for a pattern paper, white enough or just clean or just plain paper that I can cover up the page. So as you can see, this journal spread has a lot of layers unintentionally. Though I like doing layers and adding a lot of layers on my journal. However, this one though is unintentionally done. And while doing this, I kind of realized I should have not wasted my gesso because I'm just gonna cover it with paper anyway. But this is what I like about art journaling. You are free to play. You can create a lot of mistakes, and yet you can still cover it up with another layer. And you'll see later, I'm still not yet done covering a lot of mistakes. So here, I added, these are my wildflower drawings, by the way. So I made a collection called Wildflower. I already released the stickers. I have yet to release few more stationery products using this collection. And so I had this for a print test, I think. So if you like doing junk journaling just like me, you'll see scrap papers, gift wrappers, tissues, paper bags and all sorts of those things can still be used and then use it for your journal. Apparently, I collect more of those junk ephemeras than creating or than journaling. So I have a lot of scrap papers already that are still meant to be journaled. How about you? Do you also love collecting junk ephemeras, cutouts from magazines or tissues maybe, and then do you also put them in a journal just like this one? Or do you have other things that you use them for? Tell me in the comments below how you make beautiful things out of those junk ephemeras that we love collecting. At this point, I'm already happy with what's going on with my journal. I also added another handmade paper on top of the white paper or the white collage that I just did because I wanted to maintain the handmade paper with the pressed leaves on it. So one thing I learned while doing this is one reason that I had a hard time working with this spread is because I have to work around with first the background, another one is this coat because they're already given. And even though I was already satisfied how I covered up the background, I still couldn't find a cohesive pattern with this coat and with all the wildflower cutouts that I have on the spread, and also with the handmade paper. So to solve that, I need to play around with the same colors which I already have on the spread. So since I already have black wildflowers, I added gray using a pattern stamp just so to create marks on the journal. And also I realized I needed to add more red to make it more cohesive with my coat. So I got my butterfly clear stamp and just spread color red all over the journal. So that's pretty much the entire process of this journal. Although I have to say this wasn't really one of my favorite spreads, but it turned out really well and I like how I was able to solve the ugliness that I started for at first. And so yeah, there you go. I hope you enjoyed watching me make a lot of mistakes on this journal, and I also hope you pick up some tips from the learnings that I also learned from this. If you enjoyed this video, please do click the like button. It will help me spread this video to those who also want to do art journaling. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you will get notified every time I have a new video. Now I still have a lot of art journaling videos that you can watch. Just look for the art journaling playlist and you'll find more journal spreads that I did previously. See you again next week, and next month is my birthday month, so I hope I can catch up all the video plans that I have. Anyway, stay safe everyone, and don't forget to wear your mask and wash your hands. Bye!